Welcome to another episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the ultimate in Final Fantasy podcasts. I am your host, Kaleb.
And I am Joe, ladies and gentlemen.
And today we are going to be discussing the 2007 Final Fantasy Fables Chocobo's Dungeon.
The classic.
Yeah, the classic.
The highly revered classic Final Fantasy Fables Chocobo's Cunt Dungeon.
Yeah, it's going to be getting a re-release here pretty soon, so, I mean...
Yeah, every cunt buddy.
Yeah, somebody likes it, clearly. Or Square just likes money. Easy, cheap money.
Is it really, though, easy, cheap money? I guess you'll talk about it in development, but did anybody actually buy this fucking game?
Yeah, a few. It's not a huge game, but...
I mean, yeah, we bought it.
Yeah, we bought it used, though, so they didn't make any money off of that.
Good. These fuckers don't deserve to. Not any money off of this piece of shit. Nah. Alright, go ahead. I'm fine. We're fine.
Alright, well...
We're all fine here, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, before we get into the review, though, if this is your first episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, we are a weekly Final Fantasy podcast where we are reviewing every single game with Final Fantasy in the name in Japan, and also a couple
almost
extras
all of those games, by the way, way more worth your time than this one. I'm just saying.
I don't know about that, but
okay.
Anyway, we are
Schweiss is Mr. Positive today.
Most of the way through, and yeah, podcast is close to an end for its weekly episodes, but huge backlog. Check it out. A lot of great episodes back there. The review episodes seem to be the listener favorites. If you have been listening for a while, great way to support the show. Leave us a review on iTunes. Let us know you're out there. Give us your honest feedback. A couple other good ways to support the show. You can go through our Amazon link on our website, ultimafinalfantasy.com. Purchase your items through Amazon. We get a small kickback. Doesn't cost you a thing. You can subscribe to us on Patreon, patreon.com/ultimafinalfantasy, where you can get some sweet rewards, some cool little bumper stickers that I still need to order and send out, and you can even join us for an episode. That's not going to be around for very long, but, you know, it's cool shit, and it's a great way to support us. You can find all of that and so much more at ultimafinalfantasy.com. Join our forums there. Join the conversation. A lot of great people on there, and... we got some Final Fantasy XI playthroughs that are going on, so if you never had the chance to experience that, there are people there that are playing through that game, and it's a great time to get on, because we have a small little community that's willing to suffer through it. So you've always wanted to do all the mainline FFs, but had brainwashed yourself into thinking that the MMOs don't count. Now you can get through it.
That's right. That sounds good, man.
So it sounds like you've been playing some Comrades. How much of that have you gotten into?
I've played a lot of Comrades, actually. I played maybe 10 hours worth in the last week. And I don't know where it all ends, but I'm in the part where you're giving power to a bunch of stations, and I've got 3 out of the 4 stations filled up. There's a big behemoth fight. That's like a level 33 behemoth fight, and so far I've been sliding by, being totally underleveled. But on this fight, I can't do it, so I have to grind. So I'm level 13 right now, and I gotta get to at least in the 20s before I can really fight this behemoth thing. But I've been upgrading my weapons, and I expect to power up that 4th station. There's nothing on Final Fantasy 15 Comrades online. Nothing tells me when it actually ends, so I'll just keep going until it does.
Yeah, we have heard that it's not super long, but I mean, that's kind of hearsay from one dude, so I don't know.
That's true. So I assume it's when I fill up all the power things that there's going to be some quest having to do with Noctis and the others, but I have no idea. It seems like it's heading that way. That's all.
Yeah, it sounds kind of disappointing, honestly, because the World of Darkness thing was like one of the coolest mysteries of Final Fantasy 15, and then they put out this game, and it's like, sounds really
one of the
boring.
coolest ellipses of Final Fantasy 15. It would have been cool with your main party.
Yeah.
Not with these random, Kingslave people.
Yeah. That's the last people we want to see. The fucking
That is
cast.
literally the last person I want to see. Is,
Yeah.
it's like the first person you see in this game. But
is Libertas in it?
Libertas is in it. How did you know?
Oh my god, I had a feeling.
Yeah, our old Ray Romano, pain pills, chugger.
Is he still an addict, or did he cut it loose?
They haven't mentioned it yet, so I'm gonna assume he leads a terrible double life.
Yeah. Pain pill popper by night, warrior of the people by day.
Warrior of the people by day.
Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's going. Also, we should have been doing UFF Podcast Awards by now, but we'll do that next week for anybody who's like really confused about that. But we should probably just like head straight on into this motherfucker, because you have not played any Comrades, correct?
Nope, haven't bought it yet. I will soon, and will play it. I'm still kind of miffed that you played it without me. I mean, I know we need Plus, but
I can't afford it. I really can't. I'm eating potatoes this week because I can't afford food. So I definitely can't afford Plus. I'm not one of those people who's going to buy Plus before they buy food.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I mean,
personally,
should have thought about that before you got poor.
I have been applying. I have been applying for jobs, and that's as far as I've gotten.
Yeah, I mean, see, the thing is I'm not the person that does choose it over food. I'm just the kind of guy that can sort of have both. You know what I mean? Like, if I had to choose
because you work 40
or
hours,
PlayStation Plus, I mean, I would probably choose food. Probably.
Yeah. Probably. You'd probably fucking do that, wouldn't you, motherfucker?
I probably
am
would.
actually choosing car insurance over food. To be fair, that is the real choice that's happening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I have to pay for car insurance in 4 weeks, and I did not adequately save up. And so now, like, $105 of each of my weekly, I get paychecks weekly. If each of my weekly paychecks is going to car insurance, then $150 is going to rent. And just the way that, like, everything adds out, it's like very little money for food. It's like $30. So it's it's just like, ugh. But
yeah, that's not
I'm gonna
much.
make it through it. I'm gonna find another job, and this motherfucker is gonna be in a better spot, hopefully, like 6 months from now. So, but let's not worry about that. I had someone on Facebook, so I posted a video yesterday of like me showing people what I was eating, and it's just like potatoes with mayo on top and some salt. And because I can't afford butter, so it's like I'm making a little potato salad is basically what that is. And then someone from high school was like, "Hey man, what are you doing in LA?" And I'm like, "I'm here to make movies." And he's like, "Cool. What's your Venmo?" And I'm like, "Don't send me money." Please don't send me money. I've got this. And he says I'll do what I want. So I don't know. I might be getting some charity, but I don't really want it. I don't really want charity because it was my own decision that I fucked up.
Yeah.
If I like had fucked up super bad and I couldn't eat at all, then yeah, I'd want some charity. I'd be begging people for money right now. But no, I'm fine. Also, yesterday I went to Catholic Mass for the first time ever.
Yeah, how was that?
It was pretty cool, actually. That was pretty cool. The main dude, everybody was calling him Father. He's like do we just call him a priest? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't been to.
I don't know what you call that guy. Anyway, he was pretty cool. He was really funny. I had a good time. It was like one of my roommates was going. Another roommate was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll go with you." And I was like, "Hey, I haven't been to church in years," and so I was just like, "Yeah, I'll just go check it out." And it was Catholic mass, and so like there was a whole lot of like chanting and stuff, and like everybody like knew exactly what to say after someone said it. It was like this, I don't know. It was a new thing for me, but I enjoyed myself. But yeah, how are you doing, Schweiss? We might as well just make this a catch up, right? It's like,
yeah.
I don't want to talk about Chocobo's Dungeon either, so
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine.
You're fine. Okay.
Didn't go to church, but
no.
whatever.
I went to mass. Which I guess is like, it's misa in Spanish. I found that out yesterday. Anyway.
That's Mother in Valyrian. Or not Valyrian, I think it's... Fuck, I don't remember the fucking Game of Thrones language that it happens to be. But,
well, I'm talking about a real language. And then yesterday, so we were with my Colombian roommate, and he has a bunch of Spanish-speaking friends. We all went to their apartment, and my other roommate can't roll his R's, so like for like 30 minutes they were like shoving a pencil in his mouth, trying to get him to like roll his R's, and he couldn't do it. It was hilarious. I had a good time yesterday, actually, because of all that crap. But yeah, man, I'm glad you're doing okay.
Yeah, I ate my potatoes with butter and sour cream. Mayo is kind of nasty sounding, but I guess you're right. It is just a potato salad at that point, which isn't nasty per se.
It's light on the mayo. It's mostly to make the potato have some moisture to it.
Yeah, so you don't choke to death on a potato.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I got that Lowry's seasoned salt, which, by the way, a godsend that I didn't know about before. And someone introduced that to me, and it was like, this is the best seasoning. You can put it on anything.
Yeah.
And everything tastes good.
Yeah, it is pretty damn good. I always like it's like the stuff with like the crab on the cover, and it's like red powder. I can't remember what it's called, but I used to do that with like French fries and stuff. That was some good shit.
I think it's like the same thing. It's like a seasonal type thing.
Yeah, I think it is pretty similar. It's just got a little bit of a bite to it. But man, yeah.
Yeah.
There you
Can't
go.
afford sriracha. That's what I was putting on everything before was sriracha. But sriracha's $5 a bottle.
Yeah, that's
Lowry's
too
is
much.
$3, and it lasts a lot longer. So there you go. There you go. There you go, children. That's how you save money.
Yeah.
You eat a potato per meal.
That's right.
And just a little bit
That's
of
all you
mayo and a
need,
little bit of
too.
Lowry's.
Irish know that. Potato is the one food you can eat solely and survive on with no malnourishments whatsoever.
That is what I've heard multiple times.
Yeah.
Potatoes are the only food that can do that. So.
Yeah, the Martian.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, told it true.
Yeah, if it's in The Martian, it's real.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So, shit. Let's get into this Final Fantasy Fables Chocobo's Dungeon review.
Let's do it.
So, Final Fantasy Fables Chocobo's Dungeon. It's a roguelike dungeon crawler / RPG that was released on December 13th, 2007 in Japan and July 8th, 2008 in the United States. The game's development began in November of 2006 when Square decided to shift the series to the Wii rather than keep developing it on the DS, such as the previous title, Chocobo's Fables. So yeah, they published it on the Wii. The game was developed by hand, like its predecessor, and was released to strong sales initially, and has totaled just over 160,000 copies sold the last time they updated that. So Japan actually got an enhanced re-release of the game in October of 2008 that would go on to sell about 74,000 copies by the end of 2009. So it initially released to pretty good sales, but over time it dropped out pretty fast.
Oh, wait, so how much total in estimation?
Last time they announced anything, it was 160,000. I don't think that's including the 74K on the DS, so probably 230, 240.
Okay, so you're telling me that this didn't sell that well and we're getting a whole remake for it.
Yep, it was probably cheap because they probably own all of the rights to it. I mean, if they had the ability to do a re-release of Crisis Core, you bet your ass they would. Or even Dirge of Cerberus would be a better seller than this, probably, just because of the FF7 fanboyism.
So I just want to point out something. You said this came out July 8th, 2008?
Yes.
Okay, July 18th, 2008 is the day The Dark Knight came out.
Well, there you go.
So, people, you're telling me that all the people from around the world were taking this Chocobo's Dungeon game, they were playing this on their Wii, and then when they were 30 hours into this game, stuck on Leviathan, they then went to see The Dark Knight, and then they decided not to play this game.
Or they came back and they decided to choose the Dark Knight class. And
okay. I see what you did there. All right.
Yeah. Okay. I think it was a collaboration effort.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Positive.
Warner Brothers and Square Enix were getting together. They were really like strategizing their release dates.
That's all right. What can we do to both benefit from this? I know. So that's all the backstory on the development of the game. There's not really much known. They just kind of devved it and put it out. Not too much going on behind the scenes.
There's not much known because no one gives a fuck. No one played this game. And also, like, when you got this on eBay, wasn't it like... It was like a good amount, right? It was like $25 a copy for a used copy of this game.
I think it was only like 18 or so.
It was only like 18? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it was too expensive. Maybe even 15.
I know on Amazon it was a lot more.
Yeah, Amazon was rough.
eBay always undercuts the Amazon prices. Not always, but often.
Yeah. I think the hard thing with Amazon is they didn't really have any like used. It was like new because somehow they have copies still because no one bought it. I mean, obviously, or
that's how
used. But I'm gonna try to fuck you out of your money used. So I was like, man, let's go eBay this time. And I made it eBay buy now because I'm not about that bidding bullshit. I don't like waiting for days to find out that I lost a bid by like a cent. Fucking stupid.
I agree. I don't like waiting on those things. It's lame.
Yeah, we live in an age where we don't wait anymore. So like, come on.
I'm also not a barter type person. Did I have the barter conversation on this show?
I think so. I think you did.
Okay. All right. This is America. This ain't the fucking Middle East. We don't barter. Stop bartering. Fucking stop bartering at giant chain stores.
Oh yeah, at chains. Yeah,
that have no way. At a giant chain. All right, you cannot control the prices. The only one who controls the prices is the boss man, the big boss man in another state. Okay, don't fucking barter. No bartering. People, stop bartering.
Yeah.
Bartering is the mark.
If you're like a pawn shop, then that's what that thing is about. But
yeah, that's true. But a pawn shop is shitty. A pawn shop is a shitty part of society. Okay? They pay criminals and like drug addicts that steal from their families they give them money and then they sell that shit when those people don't pay back the loan. So like, no, like nothing about a pawn shop is like morally. I find pawn shops to be like morally questionable, just like the whole idea of it. But like the attitude is also really bad, and then also they make bartering a part of American society, which I don't think we should have.
No, I think we should.
I say build a wall around every pawn shop.
Yeah,
let's build a wall. I don't want those pawn shops coming into my country.
Yeah, I like bartering in a lot of ways because, like,
oh my god, fuck you. Oh fuck.
Well, I mean, it's not like I'm doing it at, like, Walmart or anything. I'm doing it at these stores that are smaller businesses, and, I mean, if I know I can get it cheaper somewhere else, I'll let them know that and see if they can, like, do something about that, you know? Like, and it's not like I'm forcing their hand. I'm not, like, me tooing them about the fucking price of their PS2 game at the time.
You're just making it sure that they have a shitty day at work.
No, if they own the business, it's up to them. I mean, it's not shitty. It's just how the free market works, man. If I can get it for cheaper and it's the same thing, I'm going to do that. Like,
I disagree. Free market works. They put up the list price and then you decide whether or not you're going to buy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can buy it there or you can buy it somewhere else. You don't have to fucking be in someone's face about it.
Well, I mean, you don't have to be an asshole just because you're bartering.
Every barterer is immediately an asshole, Schweiss. There's no move where there's like, oh, you know those kind barterers. Even if they are kind, the fact that they're trying to barter with you makes them an asshole. Immediately.
Nah, I don't know about that. I think you've been in California for too long, buddy.
No. I had this opinion in Utah when I was working in shitty food places in Utah. Schweiss.
Well, yeah, but that's a retarded example.
It just happens a lot less over there, but it was just as annoying.
It's a bad example because I'm talking about it in an environment that's not a corporate price structure. It's whatever the fuck you decide you want to charge for that thing that you're trying to sell to get out of your house at your yard sale. Like, the whole point of a yard sale isn't to make a bunch of money. It's to clear the junk out that you don't fucking want. And so in that situation, I think it's totally appropriate because it's like, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to keep this thing that you're trying to sell or do you want to sell it for a little less? Like, it's up to you. It's not like they, decided had a list price for what does this go for at yard sales. They just fucking threw a number on there. Also, I'm a big fan of swapping the price tags out at the DI down here. I haven't done it for years, but man, I'll tell you what.
What's wrong with you?
I wasn't bartering. I decided that, you know what, the guy who was using the price tag today, price tag gun, probably didn't notice that the 4 was selected instead of the 3. And so I just decided to help him out, just to kind of do the old swapperoo. And then I sold the game for $60.
You're what's wrong. You're what's wrong with American society right now.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that. Everything. Think about you. Fuck.
That's how you got to do it, man.
Do you remember in Final Fantasy II? Bring it back to Final Fantasy. You remember getting beat up, and all you wanted was a place to sleep and to heal your wounds. And the hotel manager would decide that, he didn't want to deal with you. And so he was going to jack up the price the more hurt you were. You remember that?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the hotel manager should have just had a list price. And then we could have gone to that hotel or walked further and gone to a cheaper hotel.
If we could have bartered with the hotel manager in the game, we probably could have got a better price. But he was going off of the list price. No change in the list price. Forget the fact that no one else is sleeping in this fucking hotel right now. It's just one bed.
No, I think that number was the result of bartering. So I think you came up and he was like, I don't want you to stay in my hotel. And you're like, well, what if I pay you this? And he goes, more. And that's how the conversation went. And you had no choice.
So it's the old the counter offer thing where when you counter someone's counter, it's like no longer valid. So I can't be like, oh, I'll give you $20 for that, and you say, 15, and then I say 10, and then you say, 16, and I try to go back to 15, but I can't really because I already said fuck you the first time. It's kind of like that.
You know what else it does? You know what else bartering does, Schweiss? It just makes everything clunky and slow. All right? Everybody wants to get on with their day. The thing, when I go into any shop, I don't want to be talked to. I just want to look around and get the shit I want and then get the fuck out. All right? That's all I want to do. And as a person working at a shop as well, all I want to do is do my fucking job, not have anyone hassle me, and so I can have like a decent day. But as soon as if you bring bartering into the equation, immediately both parties shitty day.
It's not a shitty day if I get a good deal, man.
Shitty experience, shitty day. I would rather pay more than be talked to when I go shopping.
There you go. Don't go to a mom and pop shop then. Support big business. It's Joe's quote for the day. I don't know. There have been times that I've done it even accidentally. Like some guy was selling Kingdom Hearts games, and I asked him how much. I was like, "Oh, how much are these?" Like, because they were the PS2 in pretty good shape, and he was like, "Oh, they're 15 each," and I was like, "15, huh?" And I was like looking at the back, and he's like, 10. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I'll buy it for 10, but I was just restating what you said and thinking like, well, I don't know if I'm going to play this version of the game. It's kind of cool to have, but I mean, I'm going to probably play the
What
PS3.
he did was he went, this isn't worth bartering. Because bartering is a shitty experience.
Or one could say he bartered with me.
Yeah, well, he thought you were about to go, not worth 15.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, but,
That's what he thought you were about to fucking do. God. Stop. Just stop. Stop the bartering.
Well, like, what if you're going to go buy a car? Like, do you just accept the list price?
Yeah, I don't go buy a car. I bought the car for the list price, man. That's what I did. I just went to buy a car that I could afford. I didn't barter with anybody about it.
You gotta upgrade your charisma, man. Just like really convince them that it's not worth what you're asking. And like, I've got this money right now, this amount that's not as much. It's $300 less, but it's in my hand, and it's gonna be in your hand if you say yes. There it is. There it is, Joe. Especially for fucking new cars. God damn, man. They mark that shit way up. Like, they have their list price, and then they jack it up beyond that, because they're like, I get commission on this, so I'm going to say it's this. It's a natural part of society for some businesses. You gotta be discreet, though. You can't just start trying to barter with the 7-Eleven guy for the fucking taquitos on the rollers. Like, that's not going to work out, because it's like, it's jalapeno taquito. I'm going to sell it at full price. You're not going to get it from me for cheaper. But if it's a rip-off to begin with, I mean, you could try, Joe.
No. No, I refuse. I refuse to be another drug abuser teen statistic.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the plot of this game. The worst part about the game.
Are we talking about Final Fantasy today?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay.
So the game starts out with Sid and his companion Chocobo, and it seems like the game's going to be about Sid, but it's not at all about Sid. So while hunting down the timeless power gem to power his airship that recently ran out of power when he got stranded on the island of Lost Time after getting sucked through some weird vortex thingy and we land on the island of Memoria. So this land supposedly disappeared from the world 50 years ago, but I personally have never heard of it. And you'd think if it went away 50 years ago, we'd know about Memoria Island.
That's true.
Know? I think it's right next to Devil's Island, is the thing.
Devil's Island!
So the center of the town features a wonderful bell that's titled the Bell of Oblivion. And every time I hear this bell, dude, every time it goes off, I'm just like, I just go full on Metallica mode, like with For Whom the Bell Tolls. Just fucking. That's what I imagine every time. They've got like James Hetfield and co. just on top of this bell, and every time it kicks on, they just fucking start the song, and that's where they live.
There's something
from
about
now on.
that. There's three rock songs, three famous rock songs that are on the radio all the time that start with a bell ringing, and every time it starts, I go, okay, it's either Hell's Bells, that Pink Floyd song, or it's For Whom the Bell Tolls. And I'm sure the Pink Floyd fans just got really pissed off that I can't remember the name of the Pink Floyd song. Every time I'm like, which one is it? It's always in anticipation. Yeah.
I guess it's usually probably Hell's Bells. But I mean, For Whom the Bell Tolls is a big radio song, too.
It depends on the radio station, man. I know in Utah, if it was K-Bear 101, it was almost always the Metallica one.
Well, yeah, it's the better song. I mean,
yeah.
Hell's Bells is one of AC/DC's best songs, but your temperature's high. Yeah. But you know, it's Metallica. So every time Kirk Hammett would ring the bell of oblivion, the townsfolk would forget their memories. So the mayor of this town, the mayor of Lost Time, Mayor Gale, he's kind of a big fan of the bell, because he believes it's better to forget the painful past than remember it. But I mean, if he's forgotten it, how does he know it was painful, and how does he thus justify the usage of the bell, or the bell going off, and him not being concerned about it by deleting, because it deletes the past that he doesn't remember, because the bell went off? I'm like, what? Sitting here playing this game, and I'm like, hey, this story is trash. All right?
So you tell me it's stupid.
The story is, yes. The story is pretty bad.
It's got a Chocobo rapist in it. It's got like a weird green child that keeps growing up too fast.
Yeah. So Chocobo teams up with Sherma, a white mage, and Raffaello, who is a boy who came from the sky. It was like a meteor that fell down, and there was an egg in there, and he was hatched from it. And this guy is capable of creating labyrinths of mystery. So every time the Bell of Oblivion rings in this town, somebody's fucking memory gets taken away from them. And it's like mid-sentence, too. They'll be like, oh, yeah, you know, I was totally about to get this awesome item located in, and then, you know.
Ding.
And then. And they're like, man, isn't this a great song? Fuck, I don't remember what I was talking about, but man, this is a great Metallica song.
Wait, what was I saying?
Yeah. And then, they forget their memory, and you have to go into their mind, basically. You have to go into this dungeon that is representative of their lost memory, fight a bunch of dudes, and if it's not a main story quest, these little missions are usually pretty okay, but sometimes very painful, and they have specific parameters around you getting through the dungeons and so on and so forth. But that's gameplay. So once you start like recovering lost memories for these citizens, and you slowly start to learn more and more about the legend of the Destroyer, and this isn't your average 12-inch, 5-inch thick dildo. This is a guy. This is a
Destroyer.
Destroyer. You know? Yeah. He attempted to destroy Lost Time in the past. So as the story progresses, you start learning more and more about this, and like how the bell is kind of like a way to lose the memory and the pain of all the loss that everyone had when Lost Time was banished from the world. And Raffaello, the green boy the guy with green hair from the fucking egg, becomes more and more like sort of twisted on the inside. He's like talks about how he has these weird evil urges now. He's starting to like pull off the wings of butterflies and shit. And he's like,
he's starting to barter.
Yeah, he starts to barter with Joe
people
at
large change
Maverick
stores
and at the deli. Starts to barter about the chicken prices, and he just becomes more and more of an asshole.
Dude, there's people that are just like, chicken's not fresh. Like, we just put it out, so they don't fucking know. This is just like what they say every time they come to a place. It's like, doesn't look fresh. Can I get it for less? Fuck
yeah,
you.
It's like,
fuck you. God, fuck you. Fuck. God. All right, go ahead.
It's like, it's noon. I'm going to sell all this chicken. No, you can't get it for less. So, yeah, he starts trying to barter with chicken, and no one's buying, no one's biting. And we eventually find out that he is the destroyer, and we reveal that the timeless power that Sid was after was actually a crystal that was meant to set off the events to break the town's seal. The seal is, of course, what's separating it from the rest of the world. It's like its own little bubble here. So
no,
Chroma,
the seal is the musician's seal. That's how I read it.
Yeah.
Personally,
It's only Metallica can break. No, only Dave Mustaine can break through. That's who Sid is. Sid is Dave Mustaine.
I can bet you better get from a bed.
Sid came into this land to rescue Metallica. And
that's right.
For Whom the Bell Tolls being the only song they have in this game.
That's how I interpreted the story, personally.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And Chocobo is the bassist, Dave Ellefson. Just the nice guy hanging out with the asshole. And he might have joined the band again. He might be pals with Sid again, but he remembers that one time that they released a fucking awesome album without him. And he had to sue his ass.
That's right.
Chocobo remembers. Oh, yes. So, Chocobo has the ability to not have his memories taken away, so he's, like, immune to this whole thing. And as far as I can tell, so is Sid. But it's weird because everyone's, like, fawning over Chocobo, like, oh, you're so incredible, you're not affected by this. And it's like, yeah, but, I mean, there's the dude that came with me. Like, it's kind of more impressive for the dude to not be affected as opposed to this oversized chicken. But whatever. I mean, they probably thought about maybe animals aren't affected, and then the bell rang, and they forgot about thinking about maybe the animals aren't affected.
Yeah.
So fuck it. So anyway, Chroma, who is the sister of Sherma, eventually takes on this beast, the Destroyer, and sacrifices herself to save her sister. And this is kind of a lame scene because we don't really get much time with Chroma. We find her, like, weirdly possessed throughout the dungeons, and we face off against her a few times. But there's not really any development, so the sacrifice here is not really an issue. It's like a whatever moment, you know, because we don't have any character build up.
To be honest, Schweiss, I don't even remember it. So, there you go.
Yeah. So the group finds out that Raffaello is still alive within the form of the Destroyer, but will soon be absorbed completely. Sid obtains the timeless power, completes his airship that broke down when we entered here, and we fly to the floating fortress to rescue Raffaello from the Destroyer. Funnily enough, there's a cutscene where, like, Chocobo kicks Sid out of the airship and he flies off, and Sid's like, no! You know, but then, like, at the end, Sid's totally... It's just whatever, because you come back and then Sid still lets you just fly the airship off. He's like, I was just kidding. I don't actually care if you use it. I've only been working on it the whole game, you know. Just if you want to take it on a joyride, take it on a joyride. I don't care.
He'd waste my time talking about his fucking airship too. I'd be trying to, like, get to the next area to grind for 19 hours, and he'd be like, "Hey, come check out this. Hey, look at what I'm working on.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, go about your day."
Yeah, he's like, check out these flames I painted on the side. Isn't that bitchin'? Man, that is bitchin'.
Yeah, it's pretty bitchin' right there.
Got that racing stripe down the middle too. Fuck, such a fine
Mike, does
ride.
it fly yet? And he's like, no,
but it looks cool, right?
Not until the end. Not until the end where you can use it to fly to one place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet. So, we obtain that power. Chocobo flies up to the floating fortress to rescue Raffaello from the Destroyer. It makes a big point about that. It's like, we're not going to fight the Destroyer. We're going to save Raffaello by killing the Destroyer. So Chocobo whips out his own destroyer and whoops the OG one's ass. The island blows up, and Memoria joins the rest of the world. Chocobo is saved by Sid's ship, which is piloted by Raffaello. Everything seems to be good to go, and Raffaello goes off to atone for his sins. And whatever that means. I just imagine, God, that other Metallica song, whose name is like, I'm losing. It's on the Black Album.
What? You don't know a name? Okay. Enter Sandman, Sad But True, Holier Than Thou, The Unforgiven, Through the Never, Don't Tread on Me.
I think it's Through the... No, it's not Through the Never. It's the one where he talks about, like, traveling a lot. You know, he's like...
Wherever I May Roam.
Yeah, it's Wherever I May Roam. That's Raffaello's next... Okay. The next Metallica song in this game is Wherever I May Roam. That's when Raffaello goes off. Wherever I may wander, wander. Sorry, I've been doing the big 4 of thrash with for Nude Clan lately, and I'm like super into it. So,
dude, I don't give a shit. I listen to a Metallica album like every other day. That's like, and it honestly has not changed in years.
Yeah. So, I mean, we just see Metallica everywhere.
That's right.
So, that is the game's story. Pretty dumb, pretty simple. I didn't really care for the story much at all. Laughable.
Like the town of Lost Time in Memoria.
Yeah. It's like beating...
Fuck.
It's beating us over the face with its time cock. In this game, it's like, oh...
Time cock!
Yeah. It's a bit much. But where the game shines, in my opinion, is the game's gameplay, which I actually really enjoyed.
Well, real quick, can I have an opinion about the story?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it sucked. Yeah. The cutscenes were way too fucking long. The voices were all cutesy. And it made me want to kill myself. And, all right, there we go. That's my opinion on this.
Oh, we get Volg and his master from the first game, too. So
we do get Volg. That was a weird moment for me.
Yeah, like, especially because he doesn't matter at all. I'm like, come on.
And I was like, fuck that guy. He always beat me. Hate him.
Yeah. And then the one time I talked to him, he's like, oh, hello, Chocobo. Fancy meeting you here. And he's like, I can't talk right now. I'm busy. And then he just looks the other way, and I'm like, yeah, you look real fucking busy right now. Like, thanks, buddy.
I'm busy training for the next time I have to beat your ass.
Yeah. It's like, fine. If you want to be that way, I'll just have to whoop your ass twice as hard next time we face off. And everybody!
Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon, everybody! Every space. Buddy.
So the game plays, as I said before, it's a roguelike RPG and dungeon crawler thing. This is basically the same game as the Final Fantasy X-2 Last Mission, where every time you walk or do an action, it takes up a turn. Everyone else on the board then gets a turn to move, to do whatever they want, to cast a spell, etc., right? So the game features tons of different dungeons with different little themes, visuals, so on and so forth. For the most part, your objective is to simply get to the next floor in the dungeon and kind of like decide whether or not the dungeon is worth exploring and getting new items. The item system in this game I thought was actually pretty fun. So when you're exploring these dungeons, usually when you progress within the story, you'll start picking up different items, and you can actually take them back to Freya in town, who is the blacksmith, and you can sort of look at, you can sort of combine items and upgrade items, like hone the items, so on and so forth. And when you combine items, you can actually combine them in a way that pulls over certain traits, and I think they're called, like, I can't remember what they call them, like blessings or something. It's something weird like that, where it's like you'll pick up an item. So you have your saddle, you have your talons, and you have a collar. And the collar can't really customize too much, but the talons are your weapon, and the saddle's your armor, which is really weird, but whatever. And when you pick up a new saddle, you can check it out, and it might have like an ability like called gold, where your item doesn't rust. And if you combine that with another saddle that you're currently using, it'll pull that ability over, and it'll also help upgrade the saddle that you're currently utilizing. So there's a lot of sort of item manipulation in the game. There's a lot of combining certain items, and sometimes it's better to downgrade because some of the cheaper, crappier weapons actually have a bunch of upgrade slots, so you can keep increasing them even though the base power is a little lower. You can get it higher. So it kind of has a system that sort of reminds me of some of the things I loved in like 6 and 9 when it comes to like the way you learn abilities. It's not really so much learning abilities as it is combining items and keeping certain abilities that are really strong. Like ones I liked a lot were increasing the amount of health gained over time. So like if you walk in place as Chocobo, you'll just slowly recover health in the dungeon. So that was a big boost for me. I had the gold thing so my equipment wouldn't rust, because you run into certain enemies that'll like spit on you or some shit, and it'll like rust your equipment, and it basically downgrades your equipment from, if it's a gold saddle plus 10, it'll be a gold saddle plus 9 if you don't have that certain ability to kind of prevent it. So going throughout the game, you want to always constantly be checking your items, checking the abilities, sort of combining items to make your character stronger, and a lot of different ways to do that. I mean, I kind of preferred the more health regen kind of stuff and hunger reducing stuff. So as you're going through these dungeons, not only do you have your health bar, but you have a hunger bar. So Chocobo has quite the appetite, right? And
apparently can't go a fucking like 100 feet without having to eat something.
Yeah, so you have to keep Gasol grains on you or use healing items to recover some of your hunger level. And if that level reaches 0, you basically KO and you fail the dungeon. And when that happens, you lose all the items except for the ones that you're currently equipped with. So that's not fun. So, I mean, if you get too far into these dungeons and you don't leave, you can lose all of the extra items that you were planning on using to upgrade and increase your stats.
Oh my god. All right. So, real quick, I'm going to backtrack before I decide to before I have a panic attack, before I have PTSD over this fucking game. The item system is pretty interesting and cool. Luckily, there's not like 16 different types of items. Just like an item system like that with combining and shit and customizing would drive me nuts.
Yeah.
It would drive me nuts if they were like, gloves and shoes and stuff like that. Luckily for us, there's only like 3 things a Chocobo will wear. First is like a charm thing, which you can't customize, which is, I guess, like a necklace that the Chocobo...
Yeah, a little choker, his BDSM choker.
Fucking Chocobo would wear. And then he has talons instead of like a weapon. He has stuff that he, I guess, would snap to his feet to attack. You can customize those. And then the armor class for Chocobo. I want you to think about it. This is real interesting. It's a saddle. A Chocobo saddle is the armor class. Because
I can see why I took so much damage in this game, because that's shit armor.
Yeah, because, the only time that would be helpful is if the enemy is hitting you in the back every time. Which is odd, because I felt like I was getting more damage from behind, but whatever. Anyway, yeah, those are the only things you have to customize, and it took me about half the game before I realized, before I kind of figured out fully how to upgrade that stuff. Because before I was just upgrading the saddle I had, and then if I picked up a better saddle, I would drop the other one off, or I would and then I would build up that saddle. I didn't realize you were every time you combine saddles, you would get abilities until about halfway through the game, which is too bad because it made the first half of the game really fucking difficult. And if I had just been doing that the whole time, then I don't know, the whole game probably would have been a lot easier, and I would have been way further ahead in the later dungeons than I was then. But yeah, I do like the combining system, and once I kind of got into the flow of it and really figured it out, it was just okay. The game became possible, and I knew what I had to do when I was getting my ass handed to me. I understood what the next step was going to be, as opposed to before, when I was fucking leveling up all the time and dying, losing my shit, and then going back and forth. But that's where we are right now. So we're in the losing your shit mode. So you have dungeons in this game. There's a lot of ancillary dungeons. Fuck those. All right. One of them you need, by the way, and the game does not fucking put a red check mark on this motherfucker. So the red check mark on the map tells you what the next main thing you have to do is.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of those things you would assume is to open up the jobs in the fucking game. But no, we're gonna wait till Joe's in Dungeon 3 before he has to have someone on Twitter tell him that he has to do an extra dungeon in a church in order to open up a job class. Which, by the way, the job class is, you got your Chocobo just starts out as a regular old Chocobo.
Yeah, El Natural.
All natural Chocobo.
Fucking 70s bush, all of it.
That's right. And he has a decent amount of health and a decent amount of attack, I guess.
It's a good class.
Because you don't really you don't fucking know what you're missing out on. But the other jobs, you get the mage jobs where you do lots of magic damage, and you get the fucking warrior classes, which is what I always stick to because I like being a beat stick. Knight, and eventually Dark Knight. Get to use those, and you get a lot of attack, and your defense is boosted and everything like that, and the fucking extra abilities are way better than what the fuck you had as the regular old Chocobo. So, you know, it would have been nice if the jobs would have naturally opened up, but instead the game decided that, hey, unless you're exploring, you're gonna get fucked.
Well, the thing is the game tells you to go there. During one of the cutscenes, they're like, oh, you should go visit Father whatever in the church and unlock the classes. And then I went and did that. So, I don't know, I guess I just paid attention more.
I assumed that it would have gotten me there through the red check marks if it was so important.
Yeah, well, it definitely was. Because, like you said, those job abilities, they give you some powerful shit.
Fuck, man.
What was your main job setup, though? What did you... Because I know you switched eventually, but...
I went to Knight, and then in the final dungeon, when my Knight was fully leveled up, and it wasn't really doing, that great anymore, I went to Dark Knight and grinded that out to level 6, and that's how I beat the game, is on Dark Knight level 6. Your classes, by the way, they're I think it's a total of 10 levels.
I think it's actually 8, levels. But yeah, it's not very many.
And to be fair, your regular levels, pretty sure, hardly matter at all. It's on top of that. So
I think they give you more
need those
health.
Job
they up your stats, but the
yeah,
job levels
it's 1
give you
point
those
at a time.
abilities.
And your weapons and shit will up your stats way more than the fucking...
Oh, yeah. It's
leveling,
about the weapons.
So.
Yeah, you don't need the levels.
So if you're stuck
we were
in the
both
game...
super high levels.
If you're stuck in the game, fuck leveling. right? You know, the normal thing that you're used to in all these Final Fantasy games. You know, just get your weapons. I'm warning you people who are going to play this game. It's like, just fucking don't worry about the leveling.
Yeah, get your classes up. And you do that by collecting job points that are dropped by certain enemies in the dungeons. Generally, the story dungeons are the best places to get these. The more advanced the story dungeon, the more job points you'll get. So, like, I upgraded my Dragoon to level 8, and I had this attack that would attack 6 spots ahead of me, and, like, every tile along those 6. And so there'd be times where I'd enter a monster room in the dungeon. It's where, like, an alarm goes off, and, like, there's 20 monsters in there suddenly. And I would back up into a hallway, and I'd turn around, and I'd do that move, and I'd just wipe out 6 of them in one attack. It's just a fucking death train.
It was a monster mash.
Yeah.
A monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. That's cool. I never tried the Dragoon class.
Yeah, I finished, though. One of the things I did at the very end, I got to the final boss. It's a 50-floor dungeon. Now, the main dungeons in this game, they start at 10, they go to 20, 30, 40, 50.
Yep, every chapter. So chapter 1 is 10, 2 is 20, and then so on. And it's fuckery, by the way.
It's not too bad, though, because you get a checkpoint every 10
dungeons.
floors.
Oh, only every 10 floors? Fuck,
well,
dude.
I mean, here's the tactic I used, Joe. I would go into the dungeon, I would explore the first 10 floors all the way through, and most of the time I would die. And then I would eventually be like, okay, I found an item that looks better and a saddle that looks better than what I currently have. So I'd wait until I collected those, and then I would flee the dungeon. Because you can flee the dungeon on the staircases. And the way to advance to the next area, just like in 10-2 Last Mission, you find like a certain thing that allows you to go to the next zone. It says, do you want to proceed to the next floor? Yes, no, exit, or escape. And if you hit escape, you leave the dungeon, but you leave it with all of the items that you have gathered throughout the dungeon. So I would go in, I would collect those items, leave, go do my upgrades, sell everything off that I don't need, all the spells and shit that I never really used much. And then I'd go back in, get to the checkpoint, and then rinse to repeat. And I did play the game a little bit longer than you, but I think I had an easier time with it because of the way I sort of meticulously approached it. I also did like 4 of the optional dungeons in the game. Maybe even... No, you know what? I think I did like 7 or so, because... you know when you would pause the game and like show the map and it would tell you how many memories you've restored in the town? I think I had 10 of 20. Okay. And I don't know how many of those are like main story or whatever, but I
have no idea.
Yeah, me neither. I'd say after a little while I was like, you know, it's fun, but the dungeon where you can't take any damage is horseshit, because I'll take a swipe at somebody and I'll miss and they'll hit me and then I die. And I'm like, I don't want to play this one. This one's stupid.
Yeah, so that was your tactic. My tactic was all the same thing, only in between I would mutilate myself through like masochistic self-harm in order to deal with the pain, and then I would continue on and try the next try to get up a few more floors.
There you go.
But sometimes you don't have your little teleport item on you, and sometimes you get fucking gang raped in a corner of a fucking floor of one of these fuckface dungeons, and it's usually like 1 or 2 floors before the checkpoint. It doesn't happen, early on. Usually, it always happens when you're almost there.
Yeah,
and then you get fucking fucked in all directions, and then you lose all your shit that you were saving up for the boss fight. This is my favorite thing that would happen. Schweiss, my favorite of all time. There would be either a mid-level boss fight or the final boss fight. And there's no checkpoint before the final boss fight, by the way. You got to go all the 10 floors.
Right. You go from 11 to 20 or 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50. That's the checkpoint. It's the 11th floor.
So you may have made it to the final boss fight, but by the time you get there, you probably had some fucking gangbangers, hit you up in a corner on one of these fucking floors, and now you have nothing on you. And so then you're basically fighting the fucking boss naked, and you, of course, are going to die. I don't know how many fucking times I fought Leviathan, but it was too many. And then the fucking boss on the fourth one, it was like the lightning boss. Fuck that motherfucker. That would happen all the time. Or once again, sometimes you don't defeat the guys on floor 9 before the 10th floor, and so you're just fucking you just wasted all that time, and then you have to decide, okay, am I going to spend time in a weaker dungeon getting items to sell for gold to get back some potions to then try this shit again? Or am I going to reset the Wii and lose all that game time? That's the decision one must make in those moments. Schweiss. My gameplay time, according to the game, was just over 22 hours. I looked, because the Wii tracks how much time you spend in game, and I never like let this game hang out on the menu, okay? So I was playing this fucking game the whole time. I believe I added up all the times that the Wii had tracked me playing the game, and 7-ish hours unaccounted for. Fucking over 31 hours I was playing this game, and only 22 something was actually fucking counted.
Yeah, I think mine was 35 total. I think, let's see if I don't remember if I told you what my time was.
No, you didn't.
It was like 27, so I didn't lose nearly as many hours as you did. And mind you, that's a guess. The 35 is an estimate because I turned the game on a little bit before I had work, and I was like, I think I can beat the final boss. I've got like 4 Phoenix Downs. I've got a bunch of X potions. I took time to level up my Dark Knight to max, and that was like another 30, 40 minutes of grinding to do that, just because I wanted that last ability. Even though it wasn't even that great of an ability, honestly. I used the like level 6 one, and I fucking just destroyed the boss. I did 1,000 damage to him in one hit. But I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. And I went in, I beat the guy, beat the game. I died to the final boss once, and on the second try I killed him. And the only time I died the first time was because I got there, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to try it. I don't really have any items on me, because, you get used to the way you play the game. It's like, you just explore, and then when it's boss time, you leave and you grab all your healing shit, and then you go for boss, You grab, like, your big hitting spells and stuff like that.
Grab some Phoenix Downs, yeah.
Yeah, and what I would do is if I got a Phoenix Down, I would just leave the dungeon most of the time. As I was playing the game, because I was like, these are rare, I'm out of here. I'm saving this for a boss, And I was like, I don't care if I'm almost to a checkpoint, I'm out. Because I'm not losing this fucking Phoenix Down. I'm not going to lose it to chance, which is basically what happens to you half the time. You'll be almost dead, and you're like, I think the dungeon's exit has to be over here. And you go there, and it's not, and there's like 7 enemies surrounding you. Suddenly, you just get annihilated and die. There's no need to do that. It's just, I would just leave, save the high attack item, the summon item, whatever item that I wanted to keep hold of, and I would go back in and do the boss rush. So when I went and did the boss rush, I killed the guy, and I left it on. I paused it in the credits because I had to go to work. It was time to leave. Like I was going to be late if I didn't leave right then. So I paused it and left it on for 9 hours as I was at work and came back. So my time that I've added up is sort of a guesstimate, but I'm pretty sure I spent 4 hours that morning playing it. But it's a lot, and it's a lot of, like you said, you have to decide if you're willing to lose the job points and the experience points you gained based on many criteria, based on like the fact that you lose everything that's not equipped to you now, even if you brought it into the dungeon. So if I brought in a Phoenix down into the dungeon, when I die, I lose it, even though I took it in with me. It's like all that you get is your collar, your saddle, and your talons that you have equipped, and everything else is lost.
Fuck, dude, it's so fucking frustrating. Like, it's on top of that, by the way, the game is brutal. I mean, it's legitimately, you can go from like full health. Well, frankly, you can just go from full health to 0 health with like 2 enemies that corner you very quickly. And so, and because the checkpoints are only every 10 floors, you know, and by the way, when you get killed, you don't go to the last checkpoint with like the shit you had, you just fucking leave and the game continues and you have to go back into the dungeon. It's so fucking brutal. And it's a grind fest too. I mean, like, not only are you grinding levels and you're grinding job point levels, but also you're grinding for items because you're fucking losing items all the fucking time. And so everything in this game, every single aspect about this game is a grind. None of it is, to me, none of it is like fun or action oriented. It's all grind. All of it, except for the boss fights. Even the boss fights, though, they're just unforgiving and brutal. So the entire game, almost the entire game, just getting fucking raped the whole time. So yeah, I was extremely frustrated playing this game. So not only did I hate all the fucking cutscenes, I hated the cutesiness about it. I hated all the judgment from my roommates. Let's play this fucking game. But also, like, the game was brutal. And I was not having fun. And so, yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculous that this is a kid's game as well. Like, I don't know what fucking kid would be able to play this fucking game without oodles of patience. So
yeah, it's difficult at first. I think I only lost to Leviathan once or twice, and then I killed him because I started doing that strategy where it was like I would get my healing items, checkpoint to the highest floor possible, and then no exploration because I get my exploration and item grinding out first. And sometimes I would die. When I would die, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go back and try to find the ruby talons or whatever that I think might be better than the ones that I had, and we'll kind of go from there. And I would go back in and just go to the boss, fight the boss, kill him. And that would be times where I would reset the game if I died because I'm not losing my Phoenix Downs, my rare items, my items of lore, you know, in the game. And I would reset then, but that was usually about it. But it's kind of a tough game to get used to, and it's not. It's grindy in a different way. It's grindy in the way that
time-consuming way. That's grindy.
Yeah, and it's not really level grindy, but I would say it is kind of the same grind as the rest of the series, just in a different form. You know, instead you're grinding out items to not only sell to then upgrade your equipment, but to get new equipment in itself.
You gotta grind all that, but also you can lose all that shit immediately.
Yeah, so you gotta be careful.
Randomly.
You gotta be careful.
It's fucking ridiculous.
And that's where the jobs come in play. You know, I have, like, with Dark Knight and with Dragoon, we have, like, different attack patterns. And one of the ones I love with Dark Knight is, like, I'll step on an alarm. So, like, the game has a bunch of hidden shit that'll happen to you. Some stuff will siphon your health. Some will siphon your hunger. It'll just do blanket amounts of damage. You'll be silenced. You'll be blinded. You'll get confused. And the worst one, you summon a bunch of monsters surrounding you, and you have to deal with them. And a lot of times what I would do initially was just die. You know, you would just get killed because you don't have the abilities to counter that kind of shit.
No, you don't.
Like, turn around and, like, you got 4 guys just fucking you at the same time. And
especially if you don't know there's a job system, and some of the jobs would have certain abilities. So it
yeah, and like abilities that put the
alleviate the
enemies,
pain.
everything surrounding you to sleep, and then you can just kind of like take your time and kill them off.
Yeah.
That or the Dark Knight. There's one that like attacks in a weird pattern. It's like a kind of a big AoE in front of you.
It's either Knight or Dark Knight. One of them has like an all around push away move.
Yeah, and that like is perfect for that stuff.
Yeah, it is.
So I mean, the game becomes a lot easier. You just have to accept the fact that you're going to have to use a lot of your abilities in the game. Like your basic attacks are great, but there are certain enemies where it's like, no, it's not worth it to basic attack the Marlboro that I can't kill in 2 hits because he's probably going to hit me with the major status effects. And if anyone else comes around the corner, it's going to be bad. So it's like, kill the guy and then move on. And when you walk in place, you not only recover health, but you recover SP in addition to that. So it's, I don't know, it's a tactic of mine that I used a lot where I'd be sort of low health and I would just stand in place and like get my health back.
But twice, in order to stand in place, you have to open up the fucking game manual to find out what the fuck the controls are in order to do that.
Oh, the game tells you how to do that.
When?
During one of the tutorials. I didn't open the game manual at all. Like in the beginning of the game, it mentions it.
Because someone on Twitter was like, "Oh, you could just skip your turns," and I was like, "What?" Then I had to look up how to do it. It's ridiculous. When does the game tell you to do that?
I think
like
it
the
was
Moogle?
pretty early on.
It's probably in like the control scheme kind of thing. No, it's probably like, meh. I probably like glossed over it. Didn't realize that was like standing in a corner praying to God that none of the enemies would come into the room while you were trying to heal up was going to be a huge part of this game. Man, because you would like start healing, you would do your walk in place thing, and of course all the enemies on the floor are getting turns too, and they have like little routes that they do, and very often you'll just be healing up, and it'll be like, oh, there's this guy, then you try to kill him off, and then you gotta heal up the same amount of health again, and you're gambling with your HP. It's fucking crazy, crazy frustrating game. As a person who just like wants to just like go, move on, the fact that this is a game that like makes you repeat floors, 10 sections of floors over and over again is like, it's eternally frustrating. I don't really care for that aspect of the game. I guess the only like. Because the floors are random, I guess it's like you have a new experience each time, but you don't really. It's all the same enemies and the same fuckery every 10 floors. Also, every 10 floors, the game's difficulty goes up a lot in the main dungeons. And so it's like, I don't know. It's brutal. It's a brutal game. I was deeply frustrated by it. I didn't find it that fun, the gameplay, because of the repetitiveness of it and how punishing it was. So that's kind of where I stand on the gameplay. There's like the equipment stuff was good, and I liked Last Mission, so a less brutal version of this turn-based dungeon crawler Diablo 2 / Final Fantasy combination game thing. I mean, it's fine, but I don't love the, like, every 10 floors repetition with frustration. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, I thought the game was fun, though. I enjoyed it. And it was brutal at first, and I was getting really mad at it, but once I started taking my time and really sort of paying attention to what was going on, I was able to play it with relative ease. I mean, I was a little bit slower and a little bit more methodical with the play, I feel. And I did some of the optional missions, although none of them really amounted to much at all, except for me doing an optional mission, saving, going to bed, waking up, playing it again, and forgetting that when you do an optional mission, it unequips all of your items. So when I would go into a actual story dungeon, I would get fucking trucked by these enemies. I'm like, I'm dealing no damage and taking all of it, and like,
I look at my my items. I'm like, oh, that's because I don't have anything equipped. I'm just beating them with my bare fists right now. So a few frustrating things that the game does in that regard, but overall, I thought it was an enjoyable experience gameplay-wise. I am kind of excited for the everybody version of it because you'll get to do some co-oping. And I thought this was a fun game. I enjoyed playing it. I think it's a nice change of pace. It was a little bit brutal in the beginning, but so was last mission until we figured out the that build, so to speak, where you just get Dark Knight, a bunch of Dark Knight jobs attached to you, and then like a couple others to keep you alive and shit. But I don't know. I liked the job progression. I liked exploring the new jobs. The optional dungeons could be fun, but I mean, it was never really much of a reward, honestly. So I only did like maybe 10 of those, if that number on the menu screen is just the optional missions. And honestly, though, the game, yeah, you're right. It does get kind of repetitive. You get different visuals and different enemies to face off against, but there's usually kind of the same kind of things. You know, the flying enemy, the enemy on the ground, the flans, the guys that'll spit on you and rust your armor. It's usually pretty similar, rinse and repeat kind of dungeons. The bosses I thought were really cool, and it has the card game from Chocobo Tales in it as well. And you can go down into the little hideout area, and you can face off against, I think it's the masked Moogle guy. You can face off against him. There's a couple mini games in there, reminiscent of the previous game. Those all required the Wii bar, though, so I didn't really play them, because I just sort of plugged in my controller, selected the game, started it up, and then only used the Wii controller, like no Wiimote, or the Wiimote, because it controls like a normal game, thank God. Unlike that fucking Crystal Bearers piece of shit.
Yeah, that's true.
I was afraid, too. I was like, oh my God, it's another Wii game. Like, fuck. You know, I was like freaking out. I'm like, fucking Wii, why? Why can't they, why do they suck at making Wii games? But, this one, I had fun with it, and I am excited to get the remaster of it. I'll be honest. I'm excited to play
The Wii Master of it?
The Wii Master, yeah. I'm excited to play it with other people online. And it kind of made me mad when I saw that on Everybody, and I was like, God damn it, dude. You know how much fucking easier this game would be if Joe and I could just party up? Fucking infinitely easier. I'm sure it's easier. It can't be harder, because it's kind of brutal.
100%. 100%. Although I will never play the remake of this game. I will never touch this game again. Real quick, I guess design, music, it looks good. It looks like a decent looking Wii game. It's got that cartoony kind of atmosphere of the last 60 games we've played for this podcast.
Yes.
And there's a really hilariously badly animated sequence where a chocobo is tickling a child, but it doesn't look like he's tickling him. In one angle, it looks like he's raping him, and another angle, it looks like the chocobo is using his beak to give him a blowjob.
Yes.
It twice posted it on Twitter. My roommates laughed really hard at that scene. And that's all I have to say about the design of the game.
The game looks fine. It looks like a Wii game. I guess it does pay homage to the DS one that we played as well. Similar design, similar mini games if you choose to play them, which I really didn't, because the card game takes a big backseat in this one, and it's not really as fun collecting the cards if you don't have to do card battles. You know what I mean? And like you'd get them because you'd find random dungeon bosses or boss rooms in the dungeons, and you'd be able to fight the boss and get their card. But I only played one card game and I lost, and I was like, nah. The card game was last time. We've moved on.
Yeah, we so have. But I think we do have some questions if you want to get into the question segment.
Let's do it.
Okay. Shinru, A for Extreme, and Rude Rose all gave us questions this week. So let's get into them. Shinru starts. How would you compare this to the other roguelike dungeon crawler FF game, FF10-2 Last Mission?
Pretty similar. I mean, it's more difficult in some ways, but I mean, I remember we had some hardships with Last Mission as well. So I think they're pretty damn similar games, to be honest.
They're really similar. I would say, however, that at the end of Last Mission, I had a good time. At the end of this one, I never wanted to see this game again.
Yeah.
So,
well,
there's a strong difference from me in attitude, repetitiveness, difficulty, all of them much worse in this game, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
Although I think it is less... I think it's a better looking game. I guess that's one of the things that's better about it. And it's a little smoother than 10-2 Last Mission. 10-2 Last Mission feels like...
a little jankier.
It's a little rough. Yeah, a little jankier in comparison.
All right. Yeah, a little more refined, but...
Yeah. Or to more strategy tactical FF games like FF12 Revenant Wings. I don't even think it's close to that game.
Yeah, there's some tactical stuff in this, but not really similar to Revenant Wings at all. Revenant Wings, most of the tactics you would do is just like ripping the game off by pulling its aggro to certain characters and then like attacking the crystal to win the mission. You send out your sacrifices. You got to cast out your Kantian values and go win the game. You know, this one you got to be a Kant because you got to save Chocobo. I mean, Chocobo is the end in itself and the means to the end. So it's different in that way. But you know, actually, it's a pretty different game, to be honest.
Yeah, this game is a cunt. You're right. That's what what I got out of that. Would you prefer this game over those games? No, I would not.
You think it's worse than Revenant Wings?
I had more fun in Revenant Wings.
Wow. Damn.
I did. Even with that, even with those two fucking awful, brutal boss fights in Revenant Wings.
Oh yeah, those were legendarily difficult. Those are fucking
those
nuts.
were. Even with the amount of frustration over that day and a half on that boss fight, I was more frustrated playing this game. And I don't have fun when I'm frustrated. Like deeply frustrated? No. I don't have any fun.
Yeah, I like it more than those.
Okay.
At least Revenant Wings. I
More
don't know.
than
Last Mission,
Mission?
it's kind of in the same boat.
All right. Would you agree that this might have the best FF soundtrack on the Wii? Which, by the way, is just music remix. Oh, I forgot to mention music. Yeah, it's just old Final Fantasy tunes remix.
Yeah. I guess. I mean, I'd say it's about on par with Chocobo Tales. It's about the same. I mean, you have some of the same kind of remix songs.
Yeah, he said on the Wii though.
I think
So
I kind of like
comparing
I
it to
kind
the
of like
Crystal
the
Chronicle games.
soundtrack for the Crystal Bearers more. It's more. I mean, it's an original soundtrack, so.
Yeah, Crystal Bears is getting originality points here, but I do love the Final Fantasy soundtracks, so I'd say this one. But because I hated the voice acting so much, and also I hated the sound that the Chocobo would make every time he attacked. I just hated the sounds in this fucking game. By the way, just outside of the soundtrack. So I turned the volume way down, and I listen to podcasts and shit. So
Yeah.
that's the truth there, Shinru. I don't really have like a super opinion on the music. I mean, I would like turn it up sometimes and hear like FF8 music. And I thought it was good, but
Yeah, it's fine. I don't know. It's all right. I guess I wouldn't disagree that it's the best one, but I did like Crystal Bears as well, and it's like I don't know. It's kind of not fair to be like, oh well, their greatest hits is their best CD, and it's like, yeah, fucking obviously, it's got the best of the best, but like having a remix soundtrack isn't really enough for me to say, oh, this is the best. I would almost say does not qualify because it doesn't have its own soundtrack. It just takes from greatness that's already happened before it, you know. So in that realm, I guess I would disagree, but whatever. It's good. It's a good soundtrack. It's fine.
What did you think of the final boss or final dungeon segment? Favorite dungeon segment? Favorite boss? Thoughts on the final boss battle?
I don't know. All the dungeons felt I kind of liked them all the same. I liked the design of the last bit of the last dungeon. It was kind of cool. You know, like when it started getting all like crystal-y. It reminded me of Final Fantasy II, the final area in there. So I'd say that one. I kind of like the last boss the most too, because he was pretty interesting. You know, he hit you pretty hard, and you had to sort of be on your feet a little bit more, be on your toes. So I guess I like the last one. I thought it was a fine final boss. The first time I died, obviously, I didn't have anything to heal really. Oh, excuse me. Except for what I took or what I found in the dungeon, so I had like 2 high potions. So I mean, I died, but I didn't dislike any of the boss mechanics necessarily. If it got too tough, I would just go in as a Dragoon and do the 6 tiles away attack thing and just rock them. And usually, I think I 2-shot the Leviathan and also the Black Mage chick that you fight, the Chroma girl that you fight on that dungeon. So it was never really tough, but last boss was fine. I thought it was kind of a cool, sort of emotionally driven boss fight. Not that I really cared that much about the character, but I don't know. There's a little bit more to it. It's kind of an interesting situation with the final boss, where it's like the boss, but it's your friend too. So, yeah, it was good.
I thought the boss with the coolest design was Leviathan, although that fight was frustrating for me because I couldn't get close to him, and that's when I had to figure out the job system. And then, and that's when I was frustrated because like the Knight class didn't have any ranged attacks, so I always had to like get close to the Leviathan fight in order to attack him. So that was what was frustrating about Leviathan. But the final boss, yeah, I guess it's out of all the bosses, it's pretty cool looking as well. But I think Leviathan's cooler looking. The boss fight I had to strategize the most on was the fucking lightning boss, which is the 4th chapter dungeon, which is the 40 floor dungeon, because it had like the 2 little fuckers that would kill you, and then it had this ranged attack that would push you away. But there was like a tile that you could get to where if it used the ranged attack, you wouldn't actually go very far. And so you could like keep attacking him. But, I mean, it was kind of difficult. I had to like get over to that area. But, I don't know. I can't really say favorite boss. I was just like found every boss frustrating.
Yeah, they all had a weird almost FF14 like style to them. Like, get behind the rocks and
they
stuff.
all had their patterns, so you had to fucking figure out.
Yeah, so it was usually die and then go back and beat him for me. Sometimes it took a few tries, but yeah.
Did you enjoy yet another final boss stage like Vagrant Story and one of the Crystal Chronicle DS games in which the final area has floating rune floor and magic wing guy flying around? You know, there is a pattern going on here. I have noticed that. I wouldn't say I enjoyed it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
At this point.
It's fine.
It was cool in Vagrant Story.
Yeah, it was really cool
Although
looking.
him flying around was fuckery. That boss was fuckery.
It was cool in Vagrant Story and in Ring of Fates, I'd say.
Yeah.
But here it was just whatever. I mean, it wasn't really about the stage to me. It wasn't as cool. So,
do you think you will enjoy Chocobo's Dungeon on PS1 after playing this? Fucking God, I hope I do, but probably not. Do you think you're prepared for it from what you learned from this game?
I don't know. I never knew this was the dungeon game. Like, I had no idea they were roguelike games, so I can't really say for sure if I am ready, because if it's not the same type of game, then, I mean, obviously it's not going to prep us, but it sounds like it is based on what he's saying. So, I mean, yeah, we're more experienced with these types of games, so we should be, but that all depends on if it is, in fact, another rogue dungeon crawler, so...
Well, he also asks, why do you think this was the last dungeon crawler roguelike FF game?
I don't know. Wait, when did we say that? I mean, we just barely said that, but he's not fucking here right now. Like, we're not streaming.
Well, that's what he asked. It was the last one that was produced by Square. My assumption is, well, everybody is going to be a remake of this thing, and I guess they're going to find out if it can sell again.
I wonder if it'll outsell the original. I could see it doing
I
that.
don't think so. I don't think so. But whatever. If it's on more systems, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was your favorite job class? Mine was Dark Knight after I finally leveled it up all the way. Or most of the way.
Yeah. Dark Knight or Dragoon. I ended up going with Dark Knight in the end just because the base damage was higher. So, like, if I ran out of SP to do my special abilities, I would just be able to do more damage overall. So I think I like Dark Knight the most. And then Dragoon a close second. And then after that, just Fire. Or not Fire, the Fighter's class, the Knight. I played that one quite a bit.
Okay.
Natural's fine, but I feel like Natural might be one of those like hidden gem classes, you know, kind of like Onion Knight in some of the older games.
No, it's not. It's not. I got all the abilities for that thing. It sucks.
Oh, god damn it. Okay, well, I'm glad I didn't then. I was like,
yeah.
Something draws me to the Natural. Like, it seems so nonchalant.
Well, I was playing Natural for half the fucking game, so I got all his shit.
God.
And it was just like his stats are sucky.
Yeah, you know, I think one of the worst things this game does is the optional
real easy.
The optional dungeons don't give you job points really. So like, there's almost no drive to do the optional dungeons because the story's not particularly riveting. Like, I don't care about these townspeople and the little memories they've forgotten because it doesn't really tie into anything other than their own little side story. So, like, if those would have had true SP gain, I think it would have been more worth it for both of us to play through those instead of doing the same dungeon over and over again just to leave and, you know, get job level ups. But
I agree. But the day I went into an optional dungeon, it was like, oh, these restrictions. I was like, fuck that.
yeah. Some of them are okay. Like, you'll die if you run out of food or, like, you have to keep doing potions because you're poisoned. Like, those ones are fine because everything drops potions, like, all day. But the don't get hit one, it's like everyone dies from one hit, but you do too. And then when you miss, the moment you miss, you lose the fucking match. It's over because they won't miss. It's stupid.
He has a few other questions that I feel like we've answered. Will you play the remaster for trophies on PS4 when it comes out?
I will, yeah.
Okay. I will not. Is this the best Nintendo Wii FF game? If not, then what is the best Wii FF game since you played them all now?
Okay, so we have My Life as a King, Crystal Bearers, which is the worst one in my mind. This one, and My Life as a Dark Lord.
Echoes of Time is also one of those.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't count.
You know, I don't even remember my official rankings on the Crystal Chronicles, but I feel like My Life as a Dark Lord might have been my best time.
Yeah, I think it's going to be
either My Life as a Dark Lord or whichever one of the Wii games didn't have the extras. Like, it wasn't laid out like a DS game.
Well, that was the only other one. So we had Crystal Bearers, the one that was laid out like a DS game, and then the other.
No, Crystal Bearers was the terrible controls.
Yeah, that one's the one with the trash controls.
Yeah. That was not like a DS game.
No, that one was.
Then there was one that had the 2 screens on the one screen.
Yeah, that was Echoes of Time.
Oh, that was Echoes of Time. Fuck. Okay. If I ranked Echoes of Time higher than Ring of Fates, it was an accident.
Yeah.
By the way, Ring of Fates is better. And that one's on the DS.
I think I did put Echoes above it, but the Wii version would not have been that way because it's fucking bullshit.
No, that was a mistake.
But I mean, My Life as a King was kind of a fun little take too. It's like adventure management, you know. So I mean, I don't know. It's hard because I like this game personally, and I like My Life as a Dark Lord as games.
I'm gonna go My Life as Dark Lord right now. That's what I'm gonna do.
I think I'll go. I'll go with this one just because there's a little bit more to it. I wish I would have gotten the My Life as a Dark Lord expansions when they were available, but they're not anymore. So I guess I'm just hoping for a remaster where I can play those extra missions because I think it was a fun game. Like it was fun having to figure out how the fuck to beat these increasingly impossible goddamn levels in this game, and it wasn't as frustrating as this one because it's a tower defense, so you have the tools to do it. It's just figuring out the right combo. It was a good time.
A for Extreme asks a leading question. So these mystery dungeon games are dog shit, right? That's the question.
Mystery dungeon games. What do you mean?
So these mystery dungeon games are dog shit, right?
I mean, this is the only dungeon we've done.
Yeah.
Joe would say yes, I guess, but
yeah,
I think
you never know.
I think the
Maybe
story
I'll have
is pretty
some final
bad.
thoughts.
But I wouldn't say it's dog shit. I thought it was fun to play. I know we have a couple more dungeons games in there, but we'll have to see.
No,
we'll have to see.
I know we do.
I didn't play the PS1
Fucking
game.
dreading them. Dreading them, by the way. Rude Rose asks our final 3 questions. I heard Joe talk about how this was similar to 10-2 Last Mission. How do you think the 2 games compare after completing them? We already answered that. Number 2, does this game use motion controls at all, or does it stick to traditional controls?
Traditional, thank God.
Traditional, yeah. You turn the Wii mote sideways and you use it like a regular old like SNES controller.
Yeah, that's something that My Life as a Dark Lord and King did as well.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed it. No, I guess My Life as a Dark Lord is the one that did it.
No, King, you had to like shake the stick every once in a while.
The cool thing though is I have a little controller and I attached that to play King, so I didn't have to shake nothing. Yeah. It was nice because I don't like. It's not that I don't like the Wii's motion controller. I just don't like the Wii's motion controls in the hands of Square Enix. So thank God I didn't have to use it for that, and I'm so fucking glad I didn't have to for this game. Like, ooh, God.
If you could change one aspect about the game, what would it be? I can answer this real quick. I would want a checkpoint. If I could only change one aspect, checkpoint before the bosses.
Yeah, like a final checkpoint. That would be really nice.
Yeah.
That would make the game way easy, though. I mean, because then you would just go.
It wouldn't
right
make
to
the game. It would not make the game easy. It's still fuckery. It's just like one thing.
I think it would make it easy because
do.
then you don't have the risk of having to use your healing items before the boss in that 10-floor.
That's not true.
Rush.
Within that 10 floors, you still can get fucked over.
I know.
Plenty of times.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
And you
but
will.
If we got rid of that, be cake.
No, not cake. Not cake.
Never cake.
It's not fucking cake.
I would change the fact that the optional dungeons are basically meaningless because the story's not interesting and they don't really get you much. I mean, like if it had extra classes and stuff like that you could unlock, I think it'd be worth exploring and kind of having different play styles and playing around with the game. And if you got job points from them, you could explore those different classes a little bit more. But I felt like I was limited to the ones that I knew would deal damage, and I never got to really explore like Scholar, White Mage very much, Black Mage I didn't use more than once or twice. Like I feel like the game suffers.
Well, you don't
want to
use them because you just level up one class, and then it's like, well, I don't want to use the other ones because then I have to re-level all those abilities. So fuck that shit.
Yeah, we both made the jump for Dark Knight though.
Yeah, so once I opened it, it was like, well, it's it's at the end of the, what is it, the middle dungeon or the second to last dungeon, and it was like, yeah, it's probably a good class.
Yeah, you got time.
I switched over.
Up,
yeah. Oh, don't worry. There's plenty of time. Half the game is the final dungeon.
Yeah, it's big.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, yeah, those are our questions. We do have one review from a good old friend Shinru. We can talk about the legacy of the game. Schweiss, legacy of the game.
Unknown.
Forgotten?
Yeah, kind of a forgotten title, but I think it's one that some people hold in sort of higher esteem. Honestly, there is a fan base. It's one of those kind of underground cult classics, so to speak, in the series. But it's a small game. Not too many people have played it. And I kind of think that's why the remaster thing might work out for them. I mean, you look at initial sales on things, and then you look at the secondary, the more ancillary sales that they don't have numbers for, like us buying it and playing it. Like, there's always going to be the people like you who hated the hell out of it and will never play it again and will absolutely refuse to buy the remaster for any reason. But then there's also the chance that they're more like myself that kind of want to play it again.
Unless
somebody else.
Unless it comes with a $100 bill.
Yeah.
Inside of so I can spend my $40 on a remaster of a game, and if I get a $100 bill with it, totally worth it.
Yeah, I kind of hope they have a collector's edition.
I'd buy multiple copies
with like a 3-piece puzzle in it. Like that's the big gimmick. So I drop like $200 on this children's puzzle, and then it's just like ha ha ha. You paid $200 for this, LOL. That's what the puzzle says.
I disagree. I've been doing a Final Fantasy podcast for 4.5 years. No one ever fucking talked about this game, and it's expensive on Amazon, so it's not a game that's like readily available. No one fucking talks about it, and then I played it and I don't really like it. So there you go. That's my thing about the legacy of this game.
Yeah, it's small. It's small.
It's small. I do have one review here, and then we can go on with our final thoughts. So Shinru says, I don't really have much to say, LOL. I mean, I remember really liking the remix music tracks. The game is hard, but once you kind of get a hang of things with the gameplay, it does get more fun and enjoyable. I do like my dungeons and boss fights, and while the dungeons in this game aren't that great, the boss fights I did find entertaining. Seeing the classic FF job classes return, like Black Mage and stuff, was cool. You guys can't use it now, but back in the day, this was kind of popular online for the card battle system. Yeah, you could battle other people online with your cards. I think this game has a lot of unique and interesting things going for it, and I'm kind of sad that the Wii killed another potential FF series like it did with the Crystal Chronicles. I'd say Square did, by the way. I don't think the Wii did shit. I would have liked... he says, I would have liked to see a new game with improved features in the Chocobo Dungeon series. Maybe on the PS3 or PS4 now. Well, everybody's coming out.
Yeah.
Chocobo's Mystery Cunt Dungeon. Everybody!
Yeah, that's exactly what you asked for. Right there. It's coming.
Yep, it's coming for you.
I wish we could do the card battles, too. I thought that was something that was missing from the DS game. Like, that would have been pretty fun to do card battles online. Because, like... that was that game, it was the card battles, but the bosses were so goddamn easy that the only fun thing left would be to play each other online, but we couldn't do that because they took the servers down. So I think part of the game died with that. And I'd say part of it died in this one as well, but it was a smaller part.
Overall thoughts?
I think this is a fun game. I think if you liked Final Fantasy X-2 Last Mission, you'll like this game. Just tune out the absolutely trash storyline. Enjoy some sounds, some musics. Turn the fucking Wiimote down, please, when you're playing this thing. My God. Yeah, Alex is sitting there working next to me, and it's just like, and I've got my finger over it, and I'm like, it's still like screeching through my finger, just pressing as hard as I can on the sound bar. And I'm like, it is
dude.
screaming here, man. It's so shrill. The sound waves are such small waves that it's just penetrating my fleshy finger, and it just fucking going. Yeah, it's loud. And like the chunk noise every time you buy something too, or deposit something into the bank. Another feature of the game we didn't mention. Yeah, it's just so fucking loud. I'm like, God. But yeah, I don't know. I dig the game. I am excited to play it again on PS4. And hopefully I'll convince one of my buddies to play it with me. Not everybody, clearly, because Joe refuses to play it again. But it's more like Chocobo's Dungeons. Everybody played with somebody. But I haven't yet found that person, so.
Well, somebody once told me the world was going to roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed, though. So.
God. Yeah.
I don't really care for this game. I think it's super repetitive and brutal. And then even when I got to fully grasp the gameplay, I was still like deeply bored by it, and I dreaded playing it every fucking time. And it really pissed me off that it took us fucking 5 weeks to play this game. It's because the game was like surprisingly like really fucking long.
Yeah.
So I just everything about this experience with this game I did not really care for.
It kind of sneaks up on you like the last bit of My Life as a Dark Lord. It's like really easy, and then it's like, fuck you. We're not easy.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
You're easy.
No.
We're gonna lay you down.
And yeah, I don't ever want to play it again. And I'm not really excited to play the other Chocobo games. Real quick on our rankings, on our Final Fantasy Fables ranking, which we are wrapping up that lie of a series. We shouldn't have even played this game at this point in the podcast. Sorry, my apologies. But I'm going to go ahead and put Chocobo Tales way up at number 1, and Chocobo's Cunt Dungeon second place.
All right. This one's tough for me because this game I enjoy more. I think it's more of a game than the other one.
Jesus
and I liked it.
Christ,
and
what are you talking about?
And I want to play more of it. But I want it to have a meaning. That's why I turned the game off and I didn't want to play it again. Like, I played Resident Evil 2 recently, all the way through, and I want to play the second campaign because it has different stuff in it. This, all the optional missions, no desire to go back. With Chocobo's Chocobo Tales, I did go back, and I did do a bunch of those mini games, and it rewarded me with cards that I then destroyed the fuck out of the card battles with, like... There was some semblance of a purpose to going back to it, so I think I am going to put Chocobo's Fables, Chocobo Tales at the top, just barely over Chocobo's Dungeon. I like more things about Chocobo's Dungeon, I think, but Chocobo Tales is just a good time, like it's just an all-around good time. The story's simple, the story's not complex, but it's not nearly as stupid as the one in this either. Even though it's more childish, like it's just a good time. And this one is fun, but not a good time all the time like the other one was.
I don't find this game fun at all. I found the other game immensely fun. So for me, there's a Grand Canyon of difference between Chocobo Tales and Chocobo Dungeon. And now we're on to Comrades.
Yep.
Final Fantasy 15 Comrades. We got like 7 games left, guys. Isn't that crazy? Should have like 5 games left at this point. Didn't know these Final Fantasy Fables weren't called Final Fantasy Fables in Japan. But anyway.
That's all right. I'm glad we did them. I mean, it's more Final Fantasy-esque experiences for us.
I'm not, because it took us 5 fucking weeks to get this Chocobo Dungeon review out.
Yeah, admittedly, we were done earlier.
A week ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, that's still not much better. I mean, given what it is, like, come on, good God.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for this week, guys. Look forward to our best of 2018. We'll also try to remember to put a place in the forums to talk about Final Fantasy 15 Comrades, if you played that game at all. If anybody's played fucking Final Fantasy 15 Comrades, please tell us your thoughts and give us your questions for that game, because we should get... I'm hoping to get through it fast. No idea, once again, how long this game is, but I'm hoping like the game just like has one more quest after the power-up stuff. Feels like it should.
Yeah, and how much is that Comrades, by the way?
$10.
Oh, $10, okay.
Yeah. So, not too bad. But yeah. Anyways, join us for that. And go to our website and stuff. Schweiss already gave all the information at the beginning of the show. You can tweet me at Joseph DeGillier.
Me at UFF Podcast.
And we'll see you next week.
Till then, guys, enjoy